when to start, right?
Yeah. Hope you all are having a good time. We have just heard some powerful keynotes this morning that set the tone for quality in an AI-driven world. If you are just joining us, I am Lakshmi Vidya Peri, your conference chair and validation and quality engineering strategist. To continue our focus on where our practices are heading, we are going to zoom in on the evolution of TMMi itself. Our next speaker, Dr. Erik van Veenendaal, is an internationally recognized consultant, author, and one of the core developers of the TMAP testing methodology and the TMMi test improvement model. He is a frequent keynote speaker at global conferences and a recipient of both the European and ISTQB International Testing Excellence Awards. Erik will walk us through how TMMi is evolving as the world standard for test process improvement and what that means for organizations navigating AI, autonomy, and modern delivery models. Please join me in welcoming Erik to the TestFormation 2026 stage. All
Thank you.
yours, Erik.
Thank you for the introduction. That's, I think, a lot of expectations for only 10 minutes, but I will do my best. I have a 10 minutes stage, and it's been labeled TMMi in action. What I'd like to talk about and share with you things that are happening around the TMMi model. So I'm going to focus first about things that have been done, that you may be aware of. Maybe it's new for you, so things have been done. And then in the end, I will look at the very nearby future, talking about what is happening currently, the development of TMMi version 2. It's the first time it's going to be presented to a larger audience, so you are all, I would say, very special. Let me see if I can get to the next slide, how that works. This is who I am, but introduction is already provided, and of course there's a website, so if you want to have more information or after the talk, send me a message, please do so. There's a site and you have a look. First, let me start with the TMMi model. So I'm going to talk about what has been done, but I think there are two views, if you want, on the TMMi model. I'm assuming that many of you joining today are engineers, test leads, QA persons, quality engineering, and you all like the TMMi model. You like to see it as a guide how to improve. You know, if you've used the, let's say, over 200-page document. There's also another side. I've written a paper recently and saying that the importance of management commitment, or even worse, or even better, leadership is needed to get something done on process improvement. So we need to have a buy-in from management, from leaders. And I think one view of the model is looking at it, let's say, the full document, but the other side is only looking at this picture. This picture needs to be simple and understandable by managers and by leaders. This is one of the strong points, I believe, of TMMi. Hey, dear manager, dear leader, 5 levels, process areas per level, that's it. They understand. What I'm seeing often is people selling this picture to their managers, to their seniors, as, oh, then we have a measured system or optimized or defined or more mature. Typically, they don't care. What I care about is, what are the results? What are the business benefits? And I said already, we're talking about TMMi in action. And very recently, we had 2 surveys. A worldwide survey and a survey dedicated to the finance domain. And there's many information there. But the main thing is, what I'm going to post here is, hey, 94% of the TMMi users come back and saying, using TMMi will give you benefits on product quality. Almost similar in the financial institutions, 89%. And the same with test efficiency. So basically, if you want to sell TMMi to your seniors, to your managers, to your leaders, show them the picture, easy to understand, also for managers, but especially focus on the business benefits. And again, there's much more in these survey reports, but this is the way to talk about TMMi to your, I would say, environment. So this is one of the things has been done. It's available. Please use. The second thing which has been done recently, and recently means for some recently, the others a few years ago already, is that, of course, TMMi is a lifecycle independent model. However, if you want to apply it in an agile context, you think, what do I mean by this goal? What do you mean by this practice? How should I interpret that? So we developed a guide, TMMi in the agile world, few years ago already, you can see, showing you how to use TMMi in the Agile world. How to use TMMi when you're doing Teams, when you're doing Scrum, when you're doing Agile. It's a very, very popular document on the TMMi website, also translated, as you can see already. That's why all these flags are there in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 languages. But it doesn't stop with Agile. Last year, we released 2 more documents, which again are being very, very popular. The one is TMMi in the DevOps world. So how do we work with TMMi? How do we interpret these goals? How do we interpret the practices if we're doing DevOps? What is different? And the last one, and this of course fits very much in the theme of the conference. Very recently, I think in December last year, we released a document testing AI systems and TMMi. So hey, we've got a new challenge in test engineering, in quality engineering. We are now testing AI systems. So how can we use AI for that? So how can we use TMMi for that? So exit criteria, we talk about things like precision. The lifecycle model is different. There are many things which are different. We have to talk about model drift, about bias. So basically there is a guide that helps you again to use TMMi when testing AI systems. So these 3 guides, you might say, complement the full model and also are the most popular downloads from the TMMi website. So I challenge you, when you are doing DevOps, have a look. When you're doing Agile, have a look. When you're testing AI systems, have a look, please. And the percentages which are here listed are, we've seen that around 80% of our users are also doing Agile at the same time. About 6% of our users are also doing DevOps. Sometimes, of course, in parallel to Agile. This is happening. My last slide, wow, this is the shortest presentation ever, is talking about TMMi version 2. So what is coming? What is the next step? This has been a project for almost 2 years already running. There will be a new version of TMMi. It's currently scheduled for, let's say, summer. I'm not going to have a final date yet, but June, July looks like a doable release date. And these are some of the things which have changed, things we've updated. First of all, TMMi is not about let's do more better testing. No, let's think about what is important for the business. So basically for every process area in the TMMi model, we have defined what's the business value for doing this. What's the business value for good test planning? What's the business value for non-functional testing? What's the business value for test measurement and on? A second change, and we've got these guides, Agile, DevOps. So of course, now we would like to say, hey, we have a new model. Let's take the examples from Agile and build them into the model. Let's take the practices from Agile and build them into the model. Let's have examples. So the whole model, if you want, is more blended with Agile and DevOps. Another thing we did, this is one of my favorites, I would always say, I like things to be lean. Do the things that matter, but don't have waste. So when doing this, when we start at a level, a maturity level, we send it out to the reviewers and say, which practices, which goals, or even which process areas that are in TMMi are less relevant in today's Agile, DevOps, AI community. As a result, the model became more lean. We're currently thinking that if we release later on, there's going to be about 30% less number of pages. So easier to use, I think. One of the reasons, by the way, for that is that the structure is different. For those who are, let's say, familiar with TMMi, we had or have currently generic goals, GGs, and generic practices as part of the structure. These are gone. In replacement, there's going to be a new process area, TMMi level 3, and existing processes and process areas have been updated. So there's a huge difference in the structure, and I think, again, this makes it easy to understand. Another difference, or another thing which is new, is the PPT framework. PPT means people, process, and technology. Basically, it's a framework from the business domain saying that if you want to change something, if you want to improve something, there are always 3 things that matter. People, so having good testers, you might say, having a process in place, which of course is TMMi, and technology. And technology for us is translated into test automation and, of course, AI. So defining the scope of TMMi, we use very clearly also the PPT framework. Something which is new, and I think very, very important to understand, TMMi is a process. But, of course, things are changing with the evolving AI. So we currently have also a section that say, hey, if you do test design and execution, how could AI support that process area? If you
Hey,
are
Erik.
doing test planning, how can AI, the technology, support that process area? If you're doing non-functional testing, how can AI support that process area? So there's a very clear link, you might say, between, on one hand, the process, TMMi, and the other hand, the technology that we're now evolving very much so. And again, you see a paper mentioned here. One of my favorites, but that's of course just my favorite, I think, test design is something where we can use AI to the max. It will actually improve our ways of doing test designs, but that's for you to read if you want to. We also talked about, in TMMi version 2, about quality engineering. And you hear about quality engineering a lot. So we look at quality engineering and say, how is this different from TMMi? So we started making mapping of all quality engineering practices to the TMMi, which is a test maturity model, test improvement model. The conclusion, TMMi covers fully, or at least largely, the quality engineering practices. So you might say that
Hey, Erik, it would be nice if you could wrap up soon. We're
I'm almost there.
we are 8 minutes into the next session.
Okay. I'll wrap up. So basically, what I'm going to say is that TMMi in version 2 is defined very broadly. As a result, it covers most of the quality engineering practices. By the way, in this corner, probably can't read it, but this is the new TMMi model shown for the first time. There's a new process area. There's one gone. There are some different names. You will hear about it very soon. And wrapping up, which is my slide, I think this is an important one, which comes back also for the TMMi community. Know what you're doing means have a process in place, have good people in place. But if you don't know what you're doing, please don't do it with AI. And as you can see, a package is coming, which is called TMMi version 2. And it says already here, down here, shipping date, but that's positive thinking, will be June 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erik, for sharing the future changes in TMMi. Much appreciated. I see a couple of questions in the Q&A box, but due to lack of time, please reach out to Erik to get answers to your questions, and join the engineering leadership in the age of AI quality in the next panel hosted by our very own Amanda Fetch with speakers Tejas Pandit.
Thank you. I will try to answer the question in the chat, and if not,
Himanshu Patel.
please contact me and I'll answer the questions over email or LinkedIn.
And please take the time to answer the feedback form. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.